than that. So in the old Baltimore Catechism, now I wasn't raised Catholic, actually. I was baptized Catholic because that's what you do to babies. So when I tell people I had a very dysfunctional family growing up, let me just give you a little taste of that without giving you too much background. My great-grandfather was a Nazi and was in prison until 1989 for the large part that he paid in his war crimes. Ich habe gewohnt in Deutschland. I'm the first generation to be born in the United States. So my grandfather was raised by a Nazi, and just like Pope Benedict XVI was required under the regime at that time to go to camp. Not any camp I'd want to go to as a kid, but every child at a certain age, when they got in their teen years, had to go for 18 months to camp. So if you can understand that my mother then was raised by a father whose father was a Nazi, and my mother's mother was a woman whose mother had died just after delivering. Her and her twin brother was separated from her other 5 siblings and given to an aunt that kind of used her for slave labor and kept her locked in the attic. So right away, in the beginning of the introduction of Christina to the world, I was given into side of a family that were divorced within 3 months of my birth. And there was really no like religious life other than my mom at least having that, you know, discernment to baptize me, which I'm so grateful for. And I think shows a sign that somewhere deep and down inside of all of us, we have, as St. Augustine said, we've got this place for God where we're seeking and we're hungry to fill this void within us. And I truly believe that's one of the things that motivated my mom to have me baptized. So then I say that my godfather was a drug dealer and my godmother was the woman who told my mom to leave my father. So again, that gives you a taste of the dysfunction that was my life growing up. My first memory was when I was 3 years old. It was one of sexual abuse by our neighbor that used to babysit me. He would abuse his son right next to me. So this went on going for a couple of years. And so it's my earliest memory is of sexual abuse. I've been sexually, physically, and emotionally abused starting at age of 3, and it culminated until I was about 14 and placed in foster care. And then I was moved from my mother to go live with my father. So I, right away, was kind of have this, I share all this with you just so that you could see that what I want to show you today is how amazing and good God is, and how you don't have to like be arrived or to be a certain person to be worthy of God, but yet through our own brokenness and all the places where we fall short, because ultimately we do, and the devil wants to remind us of that at every chance he gets, that it doesn't matter, and that actually the very wounds you have, I have come to believe that the devil, if you think of Christ's crucified hands, these being the holes. Remember when he came in the upper room and St. Thomas put his fingers in there? I really feel like our wounds are those sins, those parts where we fall short. And the devil wants us to do this. He wants us not to go into the wound and explore it and heal it. Heck no. Just to be aware, sprinkle some stuff in there so that we're constantly walking around saying, I'm so inadequate. I'm so ugly, I'm such a failure, I'm such this. These are all the reasons why I'm not worthy, you know? Not worthy, not worthy. I'm still getting that in my head. So I'm not worthy. And it's because the devil knows that when we give our yes to God, this is what we do. The very place that we're most wounded, when we let Christ get in there to redeem those wounds, become our greatest shining glory. It's like there's a light through that shines, and that will become our greatest way of evangelizing the world, of being the very hands and feet of which to give Christ to others. And I truly believe we can see that with someone, for instance, that's maybe a drug counselor who was an addict. The reason why they're so great at evangelizing people to not use drugs anymore is because they know the wound. They can feel that ache in that person. So one of the things I want to focus on is my own brokenness and the things that I've come to learn about myself and God through that, and God's plan for my life. And hopefully to convince you that the very place that you don't want to go in is your greatest gift for the world. I kid you not. That very place where you feel the most inadequate, the most broken, if you trust in Jesus, He will transform it, and it will become like a light that will shine out into the world and bring others to Christ through your yes. So God created us to know Him. And it's not like, you know, oh yes, I know Jesus, sure, you know, He's this. And He wants an intimate relationship with us. Like, is it call to duty or call of duty? What's that? is it the boys game? Call of Duty. Okay, I was corrected at the high school yesterday when I was saying the wrong thing. So, all right, so Call of Duty. So I know Call of Duty, but I don't obviously know Call of Duty. So there's two different ways to know something: to know and experience it, and to know of it. And many times, due to some of the own wounds we have, possibly father wounds, we are afraid to really open ourselves to knowing, experiencing God, having a relationship, which is what God's calling us to, is to actually be in a relationship with Him. God is a relationship, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But there's something He's revealing about Himself to us that He deeply wants to reveal to us. Now, you know how in Genesis it talks about God created us male and female? I think it's interesting, and girls usually agree with me on this a little bit, is that He created things somewhat in a hierarchical manner. There's plants and animals and then man, and then His crowning creation was woman. Yeah? And women were made from the image and likeness of God, but men were made from the dirt of the earth. Now, I'm not saying that to say we're superior, but I am saying that because there is a special dignity that theology of the body says is stamped right into the very body that you see, revealing a truth about how we're to know, love, and serve God, and how the world, the flesh, and the devil are going to uniquely impede our ability to give our yes. Because ultimately, because of free will, that's why the tree was there, folks, was we have to submit our will. We have to say yes, because God does not force Himself on anyone. That's not love. Love invites. So we have to invite God into a relationship with us. And I think it's amazing that in the Catholic faith, He has come to us. He has come and put Himself into flesh and blood to experience sweating and all of the other parts that, can be obnoxious to us about having a physical body, because He understood that we're not just spiritual beings. That's angels. We are not spiritual beings. We're human beings. So the body makes visible the invisible.